The world has gone crazy. What do we do? I guess all we can do is listen to the Outpost show, the human spirit experiment. He'll help us. He'll know what to do.
Political opponents are imprisoned or otherwise eliminated from participating in the electoral process. The result is an absence of checks and balances in Russia and the decision of one man to launch a wholly unjustified and brutal invasion of of Ukraine. Iraq, anyway. Invasion of Iraq. Of Ukraine.
Hey, welcome. Welcome to the Outpost Show. This is the Human Spirit Experiment. This is the 9 o'clock show. And I'm here brought to you by love. I'm here to let you know I get dressed up, cleaned up, so I can give you the news, the real news. What's going on? I am not Republican or Democrat. I am about the truth. My party is me. My party is you. How do we survive what the parties are doing to us? And it is serious, okay, on what's going on. So first and foremost, please subscribe if you like my content and push that bell. I am certainly not getting any love from YouTube simply because I am not monetized. And here we are. The Global World Bank is coming to your neighborhood. You will own nothing and be happy. Where are we? Well, if we have those goggles on, we're not here. We're in another world. Where we are is the World Economic Forum and all these other organizations that are running us. World Economic Forum just finished up, and their whole thing is welcome to 2030. I own nothing, have no privacy, and life has never been better. And that's where we're at. And where are we at? Well, coconut oil was $25, and it went straight up to $37.98, $38. That's where we're at, ladies and gentlemen. And so today it is, or tonight, is mortgage and rent a thing in the past? Is that true? Well, they're not telling us, but we're going to go look into it because, again, we're coming back to this place where you will own nothing and be happy. So that means what? You won't have a house? What will be going on there? So now, where is it? Now we're going to be talking about carbon tax, net zeros. I've got a clip. I showed it in my earlier show, but I definitely want to show it on again. Why aren't they talking about this to us? It's because we're in the propagandist machine, ladies and gentlemen. The propagandist machine where they just tell us what we think that they can get away with. Information, especially of a biased or misleading nature, used to promote or publicize a particular political cause or point of view. And in that, where are we? Well, how come we don't know all the possibilities? Now, we're going to get into it of what the World Economic Forum, what the United Nations, how come this is the first time you've even heard about this on the World Economic Forum? You probably heard of the United Nations, but most people haven't heard of the World Economic Forum, but you don't realize how powerful it is. Why is that? Well, does anybody know what NATO is? Also, there's another one, the World Health Organization called the WHO. Okay, so why not? Okay, because we've been thinking about inflation. Okay, we don't have time. We don't have time to think about who's really in control. We've been thinking about, are we at the worry of war? Are we in a war right now? We've been thinking about the border. What's the military going to do? What's our food bill going to be? And so without knowing what's going on, you have to take the time. And I'm devoting my life to bringing you information from all sides. So we can't just know what the Democrats or the Republicans, we have to know internationally what's going on. Because now it is an international forum, ladies and gentlemen. The bubble for the United States has burst. Now, I know I don't want to give you this bad news, but I'm just letting you know that as we see the United States, it is not to be, not because of what we have within, but what's outside. And so what's going on is these international treaties that we have with the WHO, with NATO, with the World Economic Forum, with the United Nations. They have us in the racial divide. They have us in this divided wokeness violence. But no matter what, we don't have time to be thinking about what the World Economic Forum is doing. But let me tell you, it is definitely doing something. Now, I'm going to play you a clip. And this is from somebody earlier that I wanted to talk to you about. And this is Neil McCoy. Now, Neil McCoy lives in Europe, and he's been around for years. And I want you to go. You see this right here. His As Promised, Watch Today. This part of this is based on a clip that what he did. So please go to him and like and subscribe his channel. And you're going to get a lot more information from him. He understands it a little bit better than I do, and he can put it down. So I'm going to give you this clip of, and it's a little long, but you got to pay especially attention to this, because this is the World Economic Forum, and these are the elitists. Now, you're going to look and you're going to see all these. You've never heard of them, maybe never even seen them before, but they are the elitists, and they make no bones about it. No bones about it. Just think about it. How many billionaires can you name? Now, there were over 350 new billionaires here in the last couple of years, especially in 2020, okay? When all the a transfer of wealth went to a very small percentage. Okay, so I want you to pay attention immediately, because it's quick and it comes in, and they're going to talk about, first and foremost, of having a $15 trillion budget just to start with.
And an incremental investment by 2050, which will have to be invested to get a return for investors. And the sorts of institutions represented here will play a central role in bringing this about.
$50 trillion.
So you saw those two. They're one of the most influential people, just those two right there. Okay. You've never seen them before, never heard of them before. And here they are making policy for the rest of the world.
That is a huge amount of money, $50 trillion. And he's saying as well, the people on that stage, the people in that room, are the ones that are going to bring this about. Make no mistake about that.
I'm going to start with you, Mark, since you represent the United Nations, the world. Yeah. So how far are we?
Notice he said the world. The world.
Okay, so we've got to pause on that one. Since you represent the United Nations, the world. Okay, so Mark Carney they're talking about here, what I've been talking about, he's just said it right there. He represents the world. And what did Mark Carney say? Yeah. He said, yeah.
Along in fixing this, 90% of global emissions are under some form of net zero commitment by countries.
90%. 90% now are under these net zero commitments by countries.
That means that every country, 90% are for the Green Deal, the one that Biden's been talking about since the minute he got in. Is 90% of the world is ready to go with what they say.
90%. Just think about that for a moment.
We need net zero alignment, and it's not just the banking system, it's the entire financial system.
Okay, next thing. What did he say there? It's not just the banking system. We've talked about this a lot. He's saying it's the entire financial system. That means you and me as well, by the way. That means our personal, everything we do, our bank accounts, our investments, everything. It includes all of us, the entire financial system. And
this is why you need to be concerned. This is why you need to be aware. When they say net zero, that means everybody. Everybody, this is part of the kind of the term for the reset. Okay. They always coin words, and this is one of them.
I believe carbon credits or some sort of quotas around carbon. We don't quite know yet, but that's what I think it's going to be. Some sort of a carbon tax that is going to come in. And again, I've talked about this a lot. The carbon tax will attack those sectors and industries that I talked about 7-8 months ago now, that we've seen the biggest shrinkage and the biggest inflation in those industries. And this is why I made that joke a while back that I said, if you enjoy your vacations and holidays, take those long distance flights now, because you might not be able to take those long distance flights in the future.
So what he's saying is, get ready. Things are getting ready to change. Get ready. They can tell you when you can travel. Okay. They're only going to have so many flights because of the Green Deal. It could be months before you down the road where you can actually get a flight. And this is what Neil is saying. He's talking about the long-term flights. And then, if another pandemic comes in, well, then all the flights get taken out. And I think they're going to use another one themselves here.
We need an energy transformation on the scale of the Industrial Revolution at the speed of the digital transformation, and therefore we need a revolution in finance.
Okay, just think about that for a moment. On the scale of the Industrial Revolution, do you realize how big that was for the world at that time? This is what he's comparing it to. And the speed of the digital revolution. The digital revolution, you've never seen such speed because of the incremental improvements in terms of how digital can improve upon itself. So anyone that thinks this is going to be very, very slow and all these things are going to take time, no, he's saying it right there. This is going to be fast and impactful.
And then we do need a new international financial system, and Makhtar can speak to that in terms of roles of blended finance, roles of
international financial system. That means one currency. That's what it means. One bank, one currency.
Carbon markets, carbon credit markets, offset markets.
Okay, I was ahead of myself there. So he's even talking about these carbon markets.
GFANZ, 130 trillion of balance sheet, committed to that net zero alignment.
Okay, so much to unpack there. But firstly, GFANZ, that was at Glasgow. That was that big alliance that they unveiled at Glasgow. And Mark Carney is head of that, basically. So $130 trillion. That's how much money they've got behind them now, pushing this.
$130 trillion. The United Nations, they have $130 trillion. What do you think that means? That means they could buy the whole world, man. The whole world they can buy. It's pretty much
agenda or initiative, whatever you want to call it. $130 trillion.
A 50% reduction of the emissions of their clients, so their portfolio, what they've invested in or lent to, by 2030.
The other thing he mentioned there was a 50% reduction in carbon or emissions, it's the same thing, across the GFAN, so across all of those financial institutions and banks that they have lent money or they control money in some way. Because remember, you are creditors to the financial institutions. So this is what he's talking about. Those GFAN's members, which are mainly banks and financial institutions, putting practices or policies in place for all those people below them to reduce those emissions by 50% by the year 2030. And this is why we keep hearing the year 2030 over and over again.
But also bringing it forward from that, 5-year decarbonization plans that need to be rolled out and annual reporting.
5-year plans that need to be rolled out and annual reporting. Can you see how strict all of this criteria is? I don't think there's any doubt in my mind, or many of their mind, that they are going to achieve what they're talking about here. I just don't see how it's not going to happen with the speed, the commitment, and the amount of money that is behind this initiative.
What the institutions are doing is working through and developing those decarbonization plans, and it won't surprise you that that means engaging with the people they invest in or lend to for their own plans.
Again, he just said it right there and then. Those institutions are going to be putting pressure on the institutions below them that they manage and look after to create their own plans. So the way they've done it is very clever. They've gone for the top stakeholders first, those with the biggest sort of spread across the financial industries globally, and they've started with those, and they're getting those to put pressure below them, those to put pressure below them. It is just like this whole pyramid model all over again. They're applying the same model that they've applied to other sectors.
Coming out in the middle of June, very detailed guidance for what is good, what is best practice for financial institution net zero plans.
So that is in just 2 weeks' time that this next stage of the plan here towards carbon net zero will be coming out the middle of June.
What we expect from private companies for their plans. Last point I'll make by way of introduction is this is about real world decarbonization, not the false comfort of portfolio decarbonization.
You heard it there from the horse's mouth. Okay, so 2 things. Number 1, they're going to put pressure on private companies for their decarbonization plans. But number 2, he said, this isn't, like what he's explaining there, this isn't just like offsetting, how some of these companies do carbon offsetting, but it hasn't made any difference in carbon emissions. He's saying right there that they are going to create decarbonization. That is it. So again, we come back to this same question. How do you bring about real world decarbonization? Drop a comment below. I would love to know your thoughts on that. What is most of the carbon on the planet? Where does it all come from?
Thank you very much.
And yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's coming. It's coming. A one world banking system. You go, okay, Mike, you say the one world government. Well, whoever has the money. I heard like 180 billion, a trillion. The guy started out at 50 trillion. Was that World Economic Forum? And then the United Nations comes in with 130. I mean, that's literally an insane amount of money. And so now we get down to this. Mortgage and rent, a thing of the past. Okay, so if you have all this money, and Johnny Wani, he has a house with a mortgage. He's got his 3 kids, right? Been living there 10 years. He's got a 30-year mortgage, so he owes 20 years more, okay? And his mortgage company, in your own thinking, it's the one mortgage company that you're working with, okay? And they're an independent company. But actually, they're not. That mortgage company could be owned, a group of mortgage companies could be owned by one corporation. Okay? So let's just say it's 50 mortgage companies is owned by one person. Now that person could all of a sudden decide to sell to these guys. Matter of fact, if told, they will, because they're already owned by another one who says if they want to sell it. So like the guy who owns the 50, if he decides he wants to sell it, he can. So he sells it to these guys, for example. Now they decide, because they're buying everything up, they come to Johnny Wani with his 3 kids and they tell him, we've bought your mortgage company out. And what we're doing is we're actually want to clean up everything here. So you're either gonna have to buy the house on foreclosure. Okay, so we're calling out the loans. These guys couldn't pay the loans, so it's passed on to you. So now here you are, you go to your wife and you go, wow, we've been bought out by another mortgage company. We've been bought out by a bank that they foreclosed on. And so it trickles all the way down to us. So now let's just say Johnny Wani's mortgage was $1,500. So now in turn, what they do is they come to him and they say, okay, now listen, you've been here for 10 years and you're already a good rental guy. Your mortgage is $1,500. We're going to raise it to $2,000. Now, with that $2,000, which we're going to take out on your carbon credits, okay, it's automatically will be taken out of your UBI, which most of it is going to be called Universal Basic Income. Okay, so now they can go, and so now he can rent it. He won't own it. He can't, they can tell him you can't have pets. You can't rent it to anybody else. See? Now they control the narrative of your own house. Just in case we want to have cameras in there, in case something happens, right? Cameras on the outside. Okay? So they're going to dictate to you. Well, it's either that. If you don't want it, it's $5,000 a month would be your rent. You can have it, no cameras, okay? We'll still fix everything, but if you don't want it to go by what we say, how to keep the yard clean, okay? So you have all this stuff coming on here. Now, they didn't mention, because their main thing is the aviation industry. They want to get that locked in. That's why Neil said, you may think about flying those long flights. The steel industry, oil, and this Green Deal. If you kept knowing it, the carbon credits. Okay. They've got this Green Deal. They've got 90% of all the world ready to go with it. Okay. And that's why they want to get rid of all the, my F-150. They don't want me driving it. They want you to have a Tesla. But now, again, all of them are everybody's partners. China's got that answer. A $5,000 electric car that drives 4 people. So no matter what, they're going to have control of all of it. So you're literally, your money is going to be told what it can do. They're going to tell you what you can spend your money on. Because if they're giving you money on a universal basic income, you got $130 trillion. You got a lot of money. Okay? 130 trillion. The 50 trillion, just think about 50 trillion. The United States is in 30 trillion in debt. 30 trillion. That 50 trillion could pay for the debt and give the United States a surplus to rebuild everything. Free college, free health, free everything. Free gas, electricity, gas, everything. Okay? You see how the world could be different? Instead, we're in the middle of our division. We're in the middle of inflation, the border. We're dealing with our military, and more than anything, inflation and interest rates that could go sky high. So this is very important. If there's anything I'm trying to get everybody to do, is to start doing your homework. And if you can, you want to start by knowing what's going on internationally. Neil McCoy Ward is someone he lives in Europe. He's lived in the United States. He was in the military for the UK. He went on a number of missions, Afghanistan, Iraq. So he's very informative, and he's taking a risk by bringing all this information out to you. And I'm not monetized. I am here to give you all the truth that can be brought out, and also to stimulate you to go, hey, I'm gonna do a little bit more studying. So we'll be back tomorrow at 6:00. Thank you so much for everyone. You can subscribe to my channel here and watch a couple more of my videos. I appreciate it.